How do you trap people in Connect 4 online? To answer this question, we played over 150 games online and picked our 17 best traps, including this one right here, where we simply put two pieces together in the first row, hope the opponent doesn't catch, and voila, we have 4 in a row. Let's take a look at the other 16. This trap right here involves setting up 2 attack lines on the same column. It's going to be rows 3 and 4, going to occur toward the middle to the end of the game, which most of these traps do in this situation. As yellow is pushing forward to the top and forces red to block, red can't exactly go here because that would be game over, but the far right is equally as dangerous. And why is that? Well, because now yellow has another way of making 4 in a row. And with 2 ways on top of each other to make 4 in a row, there's going to be nothing that red can do to stop it. And that's the end of the game right there. Playing as red here, we're second to move. And eventually, after several moves, we're able to build up a small cluster toward the center. And this is going to be very important because as yellow forces us to block in these spots right here, we're able to get the far right corner piece. And that's very, very important because now we have 2 different ways to force yellow into a move. And once we get one of those ways selected, there's really nothing they can do to block. They're going to go ahead and block, but we have another way to make 4 in a row on top of that. And of course, we get a nice victory right here as well. Playing as first player red, this trap is referred to as the first and second row trap. We set a trap right there. Of course, yellow is going to block. But now, after yellow decides to take control of the center and then go ahead and set up its own trap, red will be able to win the game in 3 moves. Move number 1 is going to force yellow to block, and then allows us to make move number 2 on the left side of the screen. And move number 3 is going to win no matter what yellow does, as there's 2 different ways to win for red. In this spot right here, we're playing as yellow, and we're going to try to concentrate as many pieces toward the center as we can, and that's going to pay off later on as we're able to force red into moves in order to block. And at this point, red decides to give up and not block, and then we win the game. But had red kept playing, we would have been able to have 2 moves on the top left, and then in the very top, we'd have 2 different ways to force a game-ending move there. As first player, or yellow in this case, the simplest trap to set up is to simply put 2 pieces next to each other on the first row. However, if it's your second move, most players will see this, but if one can delay it a little bit, their odds of success will go up a little bit more. And part of it is because of that pesky time clock that one has when playing online. And of course, once we get to this spot, there is nothing red can do to stop it, as yellow has 2 different ways to win and is able to pick up a nice quick victory here. In this example, we're playing as red. First to move, we get lucky early on as yellow allows us to put 2 pieces in a row in the center. That allows us to force yellow to move to the very top. And from there, we have a number of options. We're able to force yellow to move in the bottom right corner, which allows us to seal off the right side of the board, giving us 2 ways to win, of which yellow can obviously only block 1, and we are able to get a nice victory right here. Playing here as red and moving first, Again, trying to establish control of the center. We get lucky. We get 2 pieces, although yellow does go ahead and block. What is important is the spot in row 4. Well, it is important after we get all these pieces in place. Now the question is, can we get another piece there? Well, that means we're not going to put one of our pieces there, but hope that yellow goes to block something else, which they decide to do. And we were able to get the critical piece there. And from there on out, we just build up on the side. And of course, got to pay attention to any threats that yellow may have. But there's pretty much nothing yellow can do to stop it, as there are 2 different ways we can win right there. And we end up winning the game. In this game right here, red is able to put a lot of pieces together and build up a big cluster in the center. And having that big cluster in the center in place is going to help tremendously in being able to find multiple ways to win. Basically, we need to find the spots in row 6 or row 2. We're going to need yellow to help us out. We get lucky, yellow helps us out and gives us the spot in row 6. What does that mean? That means we now have 3 different ways to win, and of course, yellow cannot block all of them. Playing as red, or second player in this game right here, early on we're able to grab the 2 most valuable spots on the board, and this is going to be important not only in terms of potential moves that we could make, but it also takes away potential moves our opponent can make. Our opponent is going to focus on going after the left side of the board, and we're going to set up a trap early on as well, but they're going to have counterplay, which prevents us from going after that because we could lose the game. Now there is a trap that yellow has on the left side of the board, or in the second row. We're able to cover that and prevent ourselves from getting trapped in that spot. And as the game goes on, space becomes an issue here. And fortunately, after all these areas have been filled up, it's now up to red. We're able to set up a trap where no matter what yellow does, and they've got 3 different moves, none of them are going to win. Basically, option number 1 is blocked, option number 2 is blocked, and of course, option number 3 is going to allow us to have 2 different ways to win on the right. And unfortunately, yellow can only block 1, and we go ahead and win the game right there. In this example right here, we are playing as red, and we are going to set up a double attack through the middle. What makes this more effective is it's more difficult to recognize what's going on, sometimes until after the fact. You got to draw those imaginary lines in your head. Okay, we set up number 1, and now we set up number 2, and at this point, there is nothing yellow can do to stop it, and we win the game. This next example right here is the open-ended angle attack. Playing as red, get really lucky after making a big mistake right there that yellow does not catch it, and we are very fortunately able to move on in the game. And after blocking one of yellow's threats right here, we get lucky. Yellow does not play the middle piece, which allows us to win in 3 moves. We're going to play the middle, forcing yellow to move to the right side. And then from there on, we can set up an open-ended attack that has 2 ways to win. Only one yellow can block, and we get another nice victory right there. This one I'm going to refer to as the center to side trap. First to move as red. If yellow goes on top, we go to the side, looking to set up a threat for later. So the next phase of the game is played fighting for control of the center. Once we get our piece in place as red, this trap is kind of hidden because it's spread out. We just need to put that one piece in that spot right there to complete it. And at that point, there is nothing yellow can do to stop it, as we have 2 different ways to win, and yellow can only block one of them. when playing as first player, you want to be very careful in protecting the second row. You don't want yellow to have a lot of opportunities. We make the mistake here of going after the center and allowing yellow to pretty much seal off the second row. Now we do have some counterplay on the left side. Fortunately for us, yellow is not able to figure out the counterplay and does not block. And that allows us to set up a trap right here, where now there is nothing yellow can do to stop it, and we get a lucky win right there. Moving first here as red, we are able to get valuable control of the center. And in this case, we're going to be playing toward the left side of the board. While yellow blocks here, we get really lucky in that yellow decides to block on the bottom, but now we have a threat going. And we're able to force yellow into the corner. And from there, we've got two spots on the left side, of which yellow cannot block both, and yellow decides to give up right there for an easy victory. In this example right here, we are going to look at a very strong hidden move. We're going to fast forward to the point of where we find the move, and you may want to pause it to see if you can figure out what is the best option here. The strongest move red can make is in the one spot because it blocks yellow from moving in column B, and the only defense yellow has is the bottom left-hand corner, which who's going to see that with only 15 seconds to play? And that's going to allow red to go to spot number 2, and they'll be able to win on either X right there. And sure enough, after thinking for a little while, yellow fails to find the blocking move, and of course we are able to set up our trap, and at that point there is nothing yellow can do because we have two different ways to win, and that's it. We win the game. Playing here as yellow, first to move, we get lucky in that we're able to force red to block up top, but the main point of this is that combo traps with spacing are a little bit easier to hide from opponents than when you have like 3 in a row of something. As we get a setup right here, red doesn't see it, and we're able to spring the trap, and from that point there's no way red can block both, and of course we win the game right here. And that's going to wrap this up. I am signing out. As always, if one is looking for more tips on Connect 4, there's a playlist on this channel to make it easier to find. I will put a link in the description as well as a link in the comment section. Thanks for watching and good luck.